Hello and welcome to the Business Made Easy show. I'm your host, Fiona Hall, and this is the co-host over here, Liz Fry. We are all about finding the simple and easy way to do things in business. We come from different approaches, but it's what we're about. We're looking for freedom in our business by doing things the easy way. Because if life is hard, as far as I'm concerned, there must be a better way to do things. So that's what we do. We go and find fabulous guests like our guest today, Kimberly Sumner, who have expertise in specific areas of business that can make our life easier. Because we don't know everything. So let's go and learn from the experts and implement practical things that we can use in our business to make life easier. So if you're up for that, you're in the right place. So Liz and I have been doing this show since February. We do it every Wednesday at 10 a.m. And we're committed to growing our community. So we have a Facebook group that I'll pop the link to. It's called Business Made Easy. In there, every day, there's a hashtag day. And we have a theme for every day. And it's all about, again, making business easier. So I invite you to jump across and join into that group and be part of that community to learn and grow and share. And if you are interested, if you're an expert in a specific area of business, we might be interested in interviewing you too. So do contact us and tell us what you'd love to teach people. Now, as I said, the link for the Facebook group is over here. So please do join us if you're listening into the replay. You'll be able to see that link with any luck. And do share your learnings from today, like anything you've implemented. Love to hear what's working for you. Now I'm going to hop over into the next section of the show, and it's the golden nuggets. So the golden nugget from me today, I just watched Natalie Sisson's TED Talk from Tunbridge Wells. Tunbridge, is that how you say it, Liz?
Tunbridge Wells.
There we go, Tunbridge Wells. I've got to ask the English person about how to say it properly.
It's a beautiful place.
It looks stunning. So she just did a TEDx talk. I did a one-day workshop with Natalie a couple of years ago, and she talks about the Freedom Plan, which, you know, since our show's about freedom, it's like the word's been coming up recently, and I wanted to really talk about what freedom means in business, because a lot of us went into business to have more freedom. We might not have associated that word with what we were doing, but we wanted to have more choice. Maybe that was the word that resonated with us. So freedom for me, I mean, that's the word that brought Liz and I together. When I talked to her about possibly co-hosting with me, we discovered that this was our year of freedom for our business to have a life that we designed more, have more choice about doing the things we wanted to do that were a passion for us. So after watching Natalie Sisson's TED Talk about freedom, I thought about what it means for me in my business. And I had a little bit of an epiphany about a couple of things and just got me back on track again. And we need that realignment. Liz and I had talked yesterday, realigning ourselves now and again, because it's easy to kind of get off on a tangent and get excited about something. But realigning, going back to what's really important to you and what your values are and what you're really good at is really important. It's really easy to go off on a track, and we all do it from time to time. So freedom for me, my example of freedom is a couple of years ago, I decided I'm going to take my birthday off every year. I'm the boss of my business. I get to choose. So what I do is I take the day off, and so does my husband. He's an employee. He doesn't own his own business, but he takes the day off. We drop the kids at school, and then we go on a bit of an adventure. We have some freedom. So it might be an art exhibition, it might be a movie, might be a walk, depending on the weather, or seeing a movie, or just something new, because I like to explore and not have to worry about the kids because they're at school, which is great. And then we pick the kids up and we often go out for dinner with them. So that for me is having that choice, having that freedom to choose to take that day off, but also designing my business. So I'm in the capacity that I've actually got the option to do that, for time and money is available for me to do those things. So my challenge for everybody listening in today is, what would you choose to do that will give you more freedom in your business? So what do you really want to do? Like Natalie Sisson talks about your ideal day. What does that look like? But I think it's more than the day. It's the week, it's the month, bi-monthly, 6 monthly. You know, is it being able to choose when you take holidays, how you take holidays? Is it being able to pamper yourself with a massage? Or is it something bigger, the more than just the stuff just for you? Is it like being able to choose to mentor teenage kids who are in trouble? Being able to choose that as part of something that really nurtures your soul and gives back, but also means something to you, to pay it forward? Is there something in you that you want to choose? Is it one of the contractors I've used over the years? She designed her life so she could spend 2 days volunteering at the SPCA because that was one of her big things, her big passions. So that's my little soapbox for today. It was a heartfelt one for me, Liz.
That's awesome. Absolutely.
So freedom, what does it mean? Liz.
Yeah, absolutely. I do just like Julie's popped in there that she has a weekly massage just for her.
Beautiful.
And yeah, massage came up a few weeks back, didn't it?
Yeah.
With Belinda in terms of, the perfect time out and pampering for us.
Yeah.
So yes, so I am, in terms of what freedom means to me, absolutely. It is that choice, isn't it? Particularly coming into business, we do, we have to make a lot of choices and, just having that, the decision making to choose, make it up how we want our lives to lead. And it actually, funnily enough, leads on to mine as well, because as it so often does. And just for the record, can we just say that we did not coordinate to wear pink today? I just wanted that to be on the recording. It is not a requirement of our guests to...
We're fully in our feminine power today, I think. Maybe.
Absolutely, yeah. So I am Liz Fry of lizfry.com, and I am a mentor in business and in life. And as Fiona touched on, I've just started mentoring a young teenage girl that's basically struggling at the moment, and just to have that pay it forward and to give something back. My real theme is to have your back. Often in business and in life, we can feel quite alone, and particularly starting up a small business. And just to have that support, that ally, that business buddy, that's my message. And actually, in my blog this week, mine was about success. What success means to you, and this came up in our networking group a couple of weeks back, and one of the ladies was a bit down because at the end of the day her bottom line wasn't quite how she'd hoped it was, and we did talk about the fact that it is her first year in business. The fact that she's made a profit is awesome, and to look at why she went into business. She's in business with her partner and things, and what it enables her to do. And we started talking about the fact that it does mean that she can, pick up her daughter from school and be there for her, time out at weekends and things, because they have someone to run the business for them. So, I just came up with 5 top tips in terms of, sort of working towards success. Obviously, one, as always, is the company you keep. Looking around other people that you're associating with and connecting with, really going to be conducive to success, and whatever success looks like for you. Having the balance in life that you were talking about, Fiona, that freedom, what can you get rid of that's not serving you, and more of the massage and the things that you've learned that do. Obviously, to tune into your intuition. Wow. Like we were talking about with Tracy recently, massively important. Obviously, the learning, continual personal development, and just really be aligned, as Fiona says, with your values and what's important. Once you start realizing that, then you can see success in so many other ways. So, I just think someone else has noticed us in pink. That was all.
Yeah. we didn't plan it. It just happened.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. So that's for me. Look for success in different ways. It's not just about the bottom line.
Fantastic. Thanks, Liz. So today we're talking about the topic of how to charge what you're worth. Now, as a woman, I know that when I first started in business, and over the time, the last few years, and fairly regularly, this topic will come up. It's one that challenges a lot of us. And Kimberly really loves focusing on this area. So I'm really excited to have her on because I think there's a lot of women out there who are going to get a lot of value from today's show. So I'm just going to give you a bit of an intro into the lovely Kimberly Sumner from Happiness Blind Spot. So I met Kimberly through a networking group a few years ago, and she's one of those people who bounces into a room and has that sunny disposition that you kind of want to go and be around. She's like a little bright sun that you want to kind of gravitate towards. She's one of those women who has a very engaging smile. I mean, she's a pretty damn good looking woman. Look at her. You want to go in and say hi. And she oozes this kind of enthusiasm for what she does, and who doesn't want enthusiasm in their life? And that's the kind of person that I think that she creates that environment for people that she works with. So it's quite exciting to have her on today. She's going to talk about charging what you're worth. And I know that that's a dilemma in terms of, especially if you're charging for your time. If you're a service-based business, figuring out, as we know, there's only so much time you've got to charge, and that can be a real struggle. And looking at how much money you can earn, especially if you're working part-time, because you end up capping yourself. You can only go up so much in terms of the hourly rate you charge. So how can you make money in other ways? And that's what Kimberly works with people. She works in their areas to figure out how you can make money through packages and different ways of looking at how you sell your time as a service-based business. So her whole focus is she helps you easily attract money by creating and filling high-value programs that your clients want. So there's that, yes, the clients want. So there's a match between what you're offering and what your clients need, right? That's obviously the magic little formula we're all looking to create. And she does this with 3 and 6 month programs, and she helps you figure out your VIP offerings, group masterminds, and she has some DIY solutions for those people who want to do some stuff off some live coaching that she provides. Now, Kimberly's background, she's worked as 13 years as a commercial manager and owner at Accent Dentists, where she worked in areas of business strategy, financials, marketing, online strategy, staff hiring and management. She's a mum to 3. And we know what that is. It's a whole job in itself. It says she's an NZT accredited coach, and she started her career as an economist. So money and numbers and understanding how that works is obviously in her DNA, and she's obviously taken that path to follow that as she's gone through in her business. So welcome, Kimberly.
Oh, it's a joy to be here, Fee, and it's a joy to be here, Liz. Thank you so much. How's the sound? Because I've come in a bit strangely. Is the sound okay?
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure to be here with you, ladies, and it's an honour as well. So thank you so much. And as Fee's just said, I'm a women's business mentor, and specifically I help those of you who are inspirers, mentors, coaches, facilitators and the service providers in how to charge what you're worth through creating both high value programs and also how you attract prosperity into your life in a feminine way. And I think what's really interesting, for what you said there, yes, I did start as an economist and I am good with numbers, but to our earlier point around intuition and connecting and what we're talking about, doing what you love, and this being bringing in delight and joy in your day. I moved away from all that corporate banking and all of those things because it is about connecting with your joy. And I've had a long path of trying to do things in a way that was very sort of masculine in the approach and trying to make my father proud of me and all sorts of those things. And it's taken me a long time to feel way more comfortable with just doing things in a way that works for me. And connecting in with my intuitive power. And actually, I think, yes, it's really important to create your high value programs and to structure your offering. I like to think, I've got a water glass here. It's really important to create the structure, just like if you look at the water in the glass here, the structure of your program is the framework, but it's also a framework to allow you to share your genius, to share your magic, to share your awesome joy in a really feminine way, in a way that isn't what has been taught to many of us in the traditional model of doing things in a linear male way, but actually tapping into our joy and what delights us. And I think it's quite telling that all three of us have turned up today. We're in tune. We're in pink. And I think the time has come. I really feel this calling. The time has come to do business honouring our way of doing it and not trying to do it in a man's way. And feeling really cool and embracing and supporting ourselves as women in business to do trust in the way that we do business, because it is a different way. And like you said before, there are a lot of the listeners here, a lot of us are mothers, but even if you're not a mother, as a woman, you're a caregiver. You're a caregiver to, like Liz referred to before, a caregiver mentoring youth. You might be a caregiver to a parent. Your energy is spread over all of these people you care about, and we have strong feeling, strong intuition. And I think that's a really important part when I work with people and my clients. It's not just the structure. While that's very important, it's also about honouring that feminine energy in the middle and calling that in to bring more prosperity into our life. It's very important.
Nice.
So I've just been rambling.
No, you had me there.
That's interesting. We've had kind of a theme of that, Liz, like talking about looking at leadership even from a different perspective and the way that we do business and honouring, like I think we've talked a few times about the whole, those of us who've worked in a corporate, like come from a corporate level where it's very highly structured and masculine, and then looking at embracing a different way of connection and collaboration and empathy, which are not traditional leadership skills.
Yes, so case in point, I was just reading on a really cool blog yesterday that some of how we communicate our value, and we talk to communicate our value, is in a really, what the traditional ways, in a really logical sort of numbers and all of that part. But actually, we're all human and we've all got these big hearts and we all want to engage with people through our hearts. So part of communicating your value and charging what you're worth, one that I share with people, and it's something I've had to work on very strongly myself. It doesn't come naturally because I've really had to develop it, is sharing your stuff in stories. So bringing metaphor into how you explain, bringing, the good old-fashioned story tale, fairy tale, because that's how we respond, and that's how. And I think traditionally a lot of us had felt uncomfortable with connecting in that way. Yeah. But actually that's a really normal way to connect with people. So something that I share with people is, if we, like the three of us here, we're all sitting here, Liz, Fee and me, and we all had $100, right? So I'm giving us all $100. We'd probably all go and spend $100 on something different. So maybe I'd go out. Fee, you'd go out, you said, and you mentioned before, the art gallery and going for a walk. And maybe there's something you'd do with your husband, and you do something, brunch. Let's say you go out for dinner. So you go out for a beautiful Sunday brunch, you put your $100 towards that. I know Liz is a real adventurer, and she might put her $100 to a holiday that's coming up. Might put my $100, let's say, to, I've seen a beautiful pair of shoes that I want to put my money toward.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things when we're pricing our services is it's really easy and it's very tempting to think that if someone doesn't want what we're offering, that we need to change our prices, as opposed to understanding that everyone's going to spend their $100 differently. And if someone does, if they don't respond to how you're offering or what you're offering, it actually doesn't, often 9 times out of 10, doesn't reflect on your service offering. It reflects on the fact that they're not your tribe, and what they would spend their money on is something quite different. And you talked earlier, Fee, about it being a fit and finding people who are fit for you, and it being a match, so that when you're not getting the response that you want, it's tempting as women, I think, we can think, we need to discount our pricing. But actually, it's not about that at all. It's about going, hey, hang on a minute, here's a signal from these people, from just the reality. I'm putting too much emphasis on what they're telling me, and they're actually not my tribe.
Yeah.
And how do I go and look for my tribe? And I think that's really, really important.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I had I've got a very good friend, and I've got a group of I mastermind with, and we were talking about this the other day, and she had someone come to her and ask her for a service that she hadn't yet offered before, but she was fully capable of doing it and had been doing it in bits and pieces all around, and she said, "Oh, shall I charge this?" And I went, "No," and I doubled what I thought she should charge. She completely freaked out, and I went, "Let's just try it." Person said, "When do we start?"
Awesome. And, it's doing those sort of little steps, doing that will help her, encourage her to try it again. And try it again.
But it's really hard to do it for ourselves, right? We need someone else to give us that almost permission and to see the best in us. Do you think that's what you do for your clients as well, as help them realize their value?
I think that's really important, like exactly what you said, giving permission for other people to reflect back your values. Sometimes you can't see it. And whether that's through a coach or a mentor, or whether that's through having a really good girlfriend who's your business running buddy that you soundboard ideas with, whoever it is important to have someone that supports you and can reflect back your value to you and remind you. It's often like having, if you, even with children, say, and you have something with some conflict with one of your children, and you think, "Oh, have I been too harsh?" You want to talk to another just to get some soundboarding there. So for them to go, actually, you are worth what you did for your friend there. You are worth that, and then to have that value reflected, and you can balance that as well. Sometimes I think. Sometimes people don't want to increase their prices because it feels too much like a stretch, and this stretch becomes a stutter, and then unconsciously you're giving off signals that mean, actually, I'm not ready, I'm not comfortable charging that worth.
Yeah.
So something that I recommend to my clients, it's far more important to be regularly increasing your prices sort of by 10%, because it's been proven that sort of 10% as a if you sit within the 10%, you mentally and emotionally, that's a big one, you can onboard that change without feeling freaked out, because you don't want to be freaked out. So sometimes you are ready for a real incremental, massive step like your friend there, and then double the price. Sometimes it's about just every sort of 3 months or 4 months, when you're getting the demand for your services are increasing, you increase by about 10%. It really depends. Remember, something I say to all of my clients is there's not one rule that suits all people. It's what are your circumstances and what feels right for you.
At least the cost of inflation, right? Like your yearly review.
Well, absolutely. I think that's very tempting that people forget that inflation is happening.
Yeah.
That would be one thing. So let's say...
What other triggers do you find people you look for?
I think you'd be looking to, are you too busy? So are you feeling that there is so many people wanting your services and you can't service them all? That's an immediate trigger. But
that's a nice place to be.
That's a nice place to be. But I think more importantly, stepping back from that, you want to look, you want to understand that your prices also reflect your brand, and you want to consider what is your brand. Is your brand and remember, with a brand, there's not one right brand. So, for example, if we look at cars, and I'm not a massive car person, although I have just driven in my friend's electric car, and that was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But let's say the person who's in the market for a Bentley is a very different person who's in the market for a Toyota. Now, the Toyota pricing is really different to the Bentley pricing because it's a huge volume business. And the Bentley, they only put out so many on the run each year, and so the price is massively different. The brand value of Bentley is very different from the brand of Toyota.
Right.
So what is your brand? Are you a volume person with a low margin, or are you a quality, high-end boutique sort of brand with a much higher margin? And if you're really practical to consider is if you're in the just starting out and you're not sure where you want to be sitting, always take them. My advice, this is me personally, because this tends to reflect the people I work with, the clients I work with, is go at midpoint and then offer more value than what your competitors are doing. So start in the middle and offer more value, and then raise your prices from there. And when I say your competitors, remembering the context there that everyone's offering different services, so it's not like you're trying to fight for a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
You know, the pie gets bigger based on what I would say the vibration you give out in your morning meditations. But at the same time, it's good to know what the market's doing, and it's good to know what people can choose.
Yeah.
That's just simply list it. And make sure when you're starting out, offer more value.
Yeah.
So that's one sort of small tip, but then the other thing, and this is what I encourage all my awesome clients to do, is how are you putting your programs together? Because if you're charging based on an hourly rate, you end up being on this sort of mouse wheel the whole time and what can happen is what happened to me in the last 2 weeks. I'll be honest, I've had the flu. The children have all had the flu. And and I can't push. I'm not someone, I won't speak for all women here, but I think women have energetic pulls on them that mean that sometimes you can get really low in your energy, caregiving in so many ways. And if you're trying to base your business on a 60-hour-a-week model or 80-hour-a-week, it's not feasible. You don't do your clients the best service. You don't bring your energy and the best thing to them, that insight that allows them to really lift their game. So if you're putting a program together that is less time dependent, that's something I encourage all people to do. And there are so many ways to put programs together. It's not like there's one program together. It's got to suit your heart. It's got to suit your, the type of personality you are. It's got to suit your lifestyle, and it's got to work for you.
And there's so many great online tools now too, isn't there, that can help automate a lot of it and set it up so it's not completely dependent on you being your time being in front of people.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one around technology, because it's true. I think technology is in a space that the whole women's business model, working from home, is set to actually change the world at the moment, because technology is intuitive. At the same time, so conversely, I don't think that's a word.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, words were never my biggest strongest point. On the flip side of that, we're human, and I'm noticing a real pull to actually people wanting to connect even more. Not simply through technology.
Yes.
So one thing I encourage, and I do myself, is how, when you're putting together a program, can there be elements that are really live?
Yeah.
And, so in mastermind groups, you have a live element at least every month or every 2 months, and through sort of some workshops. And then you leverage upon that through connecting through, say, Zoom or through other technology platforms online, or something that's a DIY part of it, some videos, which allows them essentially to take a video and put you in your back pocket and walk away with that. But I think as women, the other thing we don't want to go down is thinking that we can all just connect with technology and not be live. And there's another interesting part to that, and that is simply, and I would add to this, that you can automate all your processes, and I think that's really important as much as you can. But at the same time, there is an energy that you give out when you give out say an email or a Facebook post or any of those things. And sometimes it's actually about the energy you give to it than the timing and what you automate. Because you guys know this. Remember when, I'm sure this has happened to you this week, you've picked up the phone to call a girlfriend, and she was like just about to call you at the same time?
Yeah.
Who's had that? Right. So that's the energy of us with communicating. We kind of know we're in tune with people already. So it's not simply going, well, this is this linear process where we can time everything and automate it. It's actually about being in tune with our energy and how we're connecting with people.
That's a really good point.
It's really true, right? You often know who's going to be on that telephone when they're calling you up.
Yeah.
I find that a lot.
One of the programs I created that's part of the element I looked at is what was going to be working for the client. So once a month we do a in-person 1.5 hour coaching live session, and then the opposite time we do a Skype. So we get that in person, get to see, eyeball each other, see the stresses, see what's going on.
Connect with people, feel, get the joy from being with people.
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder, I was coaching someone earlier this week who had lost the joy from it. And when you lose the joy, then why are you doing it? And, where's that delight going that you were talking about earlier, Fiona? You need the delight. So, yeah.
So tell us about charging what you're worth. What other barriers do you see people have or clients have experienced with that barrier to charging what they're worth?
Okay, well, that's a really interesting one, because actually I think 90% of it, probably 10-20% are in the techniques that we've just sort of talked about, and just having those techniques. But actually 80% is really, it's all in the mind and the heart. And so I think working in those spaces are really, really important. We all know that we can be our own worst enemies. I'll put my hand up there.
Hello.
We're all in that space. So we have to create a space where we believe that we are worthy and that we are worthy of prosperity.
Yeah.
And for me, the power that comes now, and I'm using this with all my clients, and it's something that I live truly every day, is how you bringing creative visualizations into, or mindfulness, etc. But I'll call it, for want of a better word, creative visualizations, and setting up your day. Now, I wouldn't say there is a time you have to do them, but I would only say that I've found for myself that morning is an easier time.
Yeah.
Now, part of it, if you imagine a cork is, if you had a cork that's sitting on water, and then you push the cork and you bob it down and you push it under the water, and the cork is held down under the water. Now, if you let go of all your pressure on the cork's automatically going to pop up to the surface, right? So sometimes, in the same way, it's not so much about going, what are you, what do you need to do? But it's letting go of everything that's holding you back. And so
I like that.
Doing the process in the morning of sitting in a space where you can visualize yourself doing your joy, living your bliss, communicating your value, and doing it with ease, and having a beautiful, delicious experience doing that. And doing that in a way where when you're visualizing, you're not even visualizing to get to where you want to go. You're just enjoying the joy of that visualization process and seeing yourself doing your thing. Like, for example, Fee, doing this visualization in the morning where you are helping people get their systems all working. And just that joy of bringing the organization to them, and the relief that they get, and the satisfaction that they get. And say, Liz, with mentoring and the joy of helping people be able to see the opportunities that are available to them, because someone like you is putting all that positive energy into them. In the morning, if you are setting up your day and can see that happening, and can hold, if you can do something like that for 5 or 10 minutes, where you're going from one thought to the next and moving through all aspects of your life of what you're wanting to manifest there, those are the things that can actually just have a massive impact on your whole day. Now, some of the objections that come up for me are when people say, well, what am I meant to do? Sit around meditating all day? Doing that? And I have to say, as someone like this, I have tried it, myself, where there was a time of my life where I made meditations, visualizations a chore. There was a time that I made them far too long. This is not about not doing actions. It's not about that at all, but it's about tuning into yourself and your own vibration and getting so much joy in that space that then from there, your actions for the day around how you work with your clients and also how you manifest problems just being sorted out for themselves really easily, those actions are inspired in source. And that includes, so if we look specifically at charging what you're worth, that would be a visualization. I would be encouraging visualizations around the joy of you sharing your gift with those people and the benefits, and reminding yourself of the benefits you get with that your clients have got from working with you, and really trusting that you've got a unique gift that's really different from anyone else. Everyone's got a very unique gift. And just going into that space of the delight where you have served all these people and just felt really good with it. And then just building on that so that you see that people, because of that delight, people are delighted to pay you for your worth. They're delighted to send money to you. You know, there are other visualizations that I use around how money flows into your life, or where your bank accounts, you see the numbers that you want in them. But you know, so a really interesting one. I've got a book here just on my desk. It's Denise Duffield Thomas's. Get Rich, Lucky, call it Lucky Bee. Lucky Bitch. I did one of Denise's exercises I thought was really interesting, which was, this was about 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, on write down all the reasons that you don't want more money or prosperity to come into your life.
Oh,
so, okay, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And there were some interesting things that came up at the time. You talked earlier about doing it your way and creating freedom. At the time, the way I was doing things, there was not enough delight and joy in my day. So my heart was going, oh, well, if I'm getting more money, I'm going to have to be working harder, and there's going to be even less delight. So there were those sorts of things that came up. So if you're creating a business that doesn't have, to your earlier point, Fee, time in the day for a rest, a break, some delight, some reward, then it doesn't matter how much your head thinks you want it, you don't really want it. Because you're not honouring yourself. And so you're just manifesting out what your heart is telling you and you're not paying attention to.
That is so powerful, isn't it? Because you're kind of stuck in the masculine corporate way of how business was when things were going well at work. You were working the long hours and you associate success with long hours and lots of work. So there's a negative association with more money.
Yes. And also thinking it needs to be harder.
Yes.
That it can't be easy. So sometimes I think going back and looking at your childhood relationships, your parents and views on money, did money need to be something that was hard worked for? Were you lazy if you sat around doing some dreaming?
Did
that make you a lazy person? Is money something that that makes you a capitalist who is really selfish and doesn't care for others? You know, what are the family beliefs on money? That's really important to look at, because is money not spiritual? Does that make you an unkind person? Does it make you selfish? Are you concerned perhaps that having more money will separate you from your friends? That they will see you as what are the things that mean? And you have to do a lot of work on those parts too, energetically. And, you know, they're things that, say, for example, I work with all my clients, but you can read about, say, in Denise's book, and I've actually recently started seeing a kinesiologist for clearing more work on money blocks. So there's lots of ways and means to, and tools at our disposal, if that is helpful. Yeah.
What did you I noticed you and I were nodding, Liz. What did you notice when she talked about, you know, the views on money and what you've brought from the past? Was there anything?
It doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah.
You got to work for it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, big, loud and clear.
The sense of it's got to be hard. And I'm not suggesting that you're not putting work in the slightest. And, you know, when you're starting your business, you are working harder than when you're a few years down the track. Absolutely. It's like with a new baby or a new puppy that I'm getting. It's going to be a bit harder at the beginning. But actually, the more you get in flow and the more you connect with what you are here to do, your life purpose, then the easier it gets for money simply to manifest to you. And the easiest way that I've seen for getting in flow is actually paying attention to what your feelings are telling you. Not such that you're wallowing in your feelings, but so that you're listening to where you're going off track, where the universe is saying, actually, that way there might work for that person, but it's not your path. Or going over here, you're really going off course from what your life purpose is, and that could be why these feelings of resentment or anger or frustration are coming up for you and why it feels quite hard. It's why when I went into the corporate world and banking, even though I had all the numbers and all of that head stuff for it, I felt quite miserable because that world isn't my world.
Yeah.
It's not. That wasn't the world for me, and I was being guided out of that world. I have to say, it's taken me a long time to listen to my guidance system. You know, it's taken 20 years to start to be feeling I'm getting comfortable in my shoes here. And I think that's for all of us. It's a journey, and it's a journey that's ongoing, and we're refining it for our whole life. And that's cool. That's part of the process.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it. You wouldn't be able to help those people stuck in that place that you were now if you hadn't been in that place kind of thing. So
we're all here to help each other, to stand on shoulders of other people who've helped us. And that's just, I think that's when it becomes a bit more joyful. You know, we're all here to help each other. And
from what I've seen from a lot of the guests is that we're all the people, you know, all of us in business, we've all struggled with something and we've overcome. We've learned ways to deal with it, and that's kind of what we're here to teach other people now. Really, is our biggest learning for us is what we're here to teach.
Actually, I completely agree with you, Fee. That where you get wounded most and where is your most challenge is actually where you go searching yourself to find the answers that you then are here to come back for everyone else.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we are all so different and have such unique gifts, and why it's charging what you're worth and coming back to that is a lot of it's coming back to knowing that the way you do things is unique to you. And when you start to embrace it and feel really good about it, knowing that the money comes because you're actually energetically getting in tune with what your purpose is.
I'm busy scribbling that down. So for me, it's like embrace your unique way of doing things. And when you do that and you fully own that, your clients are ready to work with you.
Owning your flaws and owning your learnings and owning who you are, the whole part of you, because judging what you're worth, remember your worth. We mirror everything that we experience outside is a mirror of what's going on for us. So the mirror is, if we want people to value our worth, the first person who must value it is ourselves.
Yeah.
And if you're doing something in a way that doesn't feel actually congruent with what your soul's on board to be doing, then you deep down aren't valuing yourself. And that's why when people might make a comment that feels a little harsh, it hurts so much, and you pay attention so much. Whereas when you know you're on track with and valuing yourself and what you offer, and you're not trying to be anyone else. And actually, you know, I just want to highlight for anyone starting out in business, it takes time to work out who you are. It takes time to work out who your tribe is. It takes time to work out what your gift is. So the important thing is just to keep going every day, and every day making space for yourself to reward yourself, to support yourself, to have some delight in your day, and to remind yourself you're doing a great job. That's because it takes time.
It does take time. And sometimes you've got to give yourself permission to make mistakes along the way and go and pull out. And if you go down a path and you're like, listen, I've just done this. If you go down a path and you get down, you're like, this is hard. having to push. Okay, let's just check in and go, you know what? This isn't working. Let's try something different. When I first started out of business, that was so incredibly hard because I'd get people say, oh, can you do this? And I'd go, yeah, I can do that. And you can hear my voice, yeah, I can do that. But I didn't go, yeah, I love to do that. And so I'd do that and I'd go, hard work. Getting money must be okay.
Must be successful.
Yay! I should make money, therefore I should go down that. And that should.
Yeah.
The should thing. So thinking that because you can do it, you need to prove you can do it.
Yes.
And that's something that holds people back from delegating a lot. Because I could do this, I should do it. And by not delegating, that in itself has a massive impact on how you make business easy. But also to the point that the masculine way of doing business really says you've got to push through. You've got to push through this boundary. You've got to make it hard. And if you conquer all and you overcome, that's the way to do business. It's the feminine way of doing business is what you just said there, Fee, which is actually it's not meant to be hard. And when it's easy and I'm in a vibrational space of it being easy and I'm having joy from it, then I attract it working out really easily. And so that's us getting in tune with our feminine side. And the caveat to that is men have a feminine side and women have a masculine side. So I'm not saying this is just about doing business only for women. If you're a man listening to this, it's about connecting in with that side of yourself. And we all need to just balance those forces within us of, it doesn't have to be hard. And that's a constant, I think, for all of us. We have to remember that every day. It doesn't, it can be easy when we're doing what we enjoy.
That's my I think I spoke about this at the beginning of the show, is my big clue for myself that something I need to stop is when it starts to feel hard. So when something starts to feel hard, that's my clue to check in and ask myself those questions like, am I operating from my should? Am I tied up in fear that I have to earn this money? So there's a fear around, some fear around money and not having enough and scarcity. And, there's that story going in my head. Am I devaluing who I am? There's all those fear things that trigger in my head. Yeah.
And those fears are things that we all have and they're conditioned. And, my own money story, it's just so wildly crazy. My mother grew up on Park Avenue in New York in a really nice apartment. And then my father was from a very poor background, and he's always thought that looking and wanting money makes me a capitalist. He's quite happy in his values, and he thinks that I'm chasing, that all my values are askew. And it's taken me a long time to get comfortable with what my values are. So if anyone listening are feeling conflict around money or fear around money, just know that these are things that we all have to work on. And the part of charging what you're worth is coming back to really valuing your own set of values. Everyone's got a different set of values, and that speaks to what I said before. If we all had $100, what would we be spending it on? What would we choose? It doesn't make anyone's value system more right than anyone else's. It's just that you need to know what your one is and align with other people, your clients, who have a similar value system. And that's when it makes it much easier to charge what you're worth, rather than trying to push, and I say push because you will be pushing when you're your service on people who are not valuing your thing, and you continue then to think, well, it's actually about you. It's not. So doing the inner work does help. Yeah, absolutely. You're smiling, Liz.
Yeah.
I'm just loving it. I'm not a very good co-host today. I'm just sitting here listening. Just making so many notes. It's awesome.
Yeah, absorbing heaps.
Gems. Yeah.
Kimberly, so obviously you've learned so much doing this kind of work. What would you say would be like your 3 top tips for someone who's probably sitting here like us, scribbling notes and nodding a lot as you talk? What would you say would be the 3 things for someone who's maybe resonated with they're pushing, it's hard, that they're feeling like, oh yeah, there's some story in the background from my family, from my, the way I was raised around money not having negative connotations. What would you recommend they do to start looking at this before they come obviously work with you? But what would you say?
Well, something that I identified is there seem to be about 5 areas that you need to be looking at. So with the glass, I mentioned it's really important you do bring structure into your life, into how you put the programs together. So just like a tree, at the moment the trees are all blowing outside, it's very windy, and they're doing their thing. A tree to be strong and to also to flow and to do its beautiful leaf dancing and all of that great stuff actually needs strong roots. Yeah. So to create, and you referred to it earlier, Fee, to have more freedom in your life, you were talking about more freedom, you actually need discipline, and you bring that discipline in. Yeah. So I bring the discipline in through structure, through the structure of how the programs are put together. You need to be able to communicate your value, get your value on the table. So there are techniques for that, and there's also a lot of the stuff, what I was talking about earlier, around how you set your day up and your own sense of worth, and your meditations and your visualizations around that. You want to be in a space of absolute delight. If you're not delighting in what you're doing, then it's possibly not the right. There's some tweaks needed, there's some adjustment. And I'm not saying that all business 100% of the time is delightful. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if a good part of it isn't calling you and compelling you, then you might want to be thinking about what you're changing there. I think a key part of it is thinking big. And you talked about Natalie Sisson earlier, and she mentioned this. I remember hearing her speak of this, but I do this with a lot of my clients. Rather than looking to win every client one by one by one by one, what are your affiliate relationships that you can create, your strategic relationships you can create, that means one person is bringing a lot of clients to you? That's really, really important, because it makes things heaps easier. And how are you really setting up energetically in your day a space where it all flows easily? How do you set this up in the morning? Now, to give you something practical from my own life, I've got 3 children, right? And I just wanted to share with you, I don't wake up and meditate straight away. I'm not that person. I wake up very slowly. And if I sat down on a chair or did anything like that, I'd fall back asleep. So that's not for me what I do. Well, the way for me that works is I'm up, I might have a shower, I'm having a cup of tea first. My children might be asking me to make lunches. Sometimes I make their lunches if I'm feeling inspired. Sometimes I go to the gym. But what will happen when I'm going to the gym is I've got my headphones on. I'm not reading all the magazines. I'm listening to some meditations on financial abundance. I'm listening to meditations on my self-worth. I'm listening to things. I'm starting to build my day up, and I'm shaping my day. And then I go home, or if I'm at home, I'm sitting down, and I will sit down for 10 to 20 minutes and put my day together energetically. And it doesn't have to be 20 minutes. It can be 5 minutes. Today, meeting the deadline today of being on the show, it was 5 minutes while I was getting dressed. But I could just see my whole day rolling out, the things I wanted to call in. And ever since I've been doing those things, has made a big difference. So, awesome. Yeah, those things I think are really, really important.
I'm just conscious of time, but just to finish that off, do you have an end of the day routine as well, Kimberly? Obviously some people do the gratitude thing at the end of the day.
I just do 2 things that I find work for me. I probably will consider 5 wins that I've done, especially on a day, really important, especially when you don't feel like you're making progress. Wins can be my health is good. Wins can be my daughter and I are getting on well. Wins can be a new client has come. Wins can be I've got a holiday book. Wins can be anything. And I listen. I go to sleep listening to meditation. That's on the basis that I'm. No, we won't go there. It's not special husband and wife time. But on most nights, listen to something like that because it lets go of stuff that happens in the day. So that the next day you start afresh. And also sort of the dream space is really productive. Oh, and the other thing, Liz, is I pretty much always organise my day, 80% of it, for the following day, early on in the evening. So that I don't start my day going, what am I doing? I'll adjust in the morning based on where my energy is. But I'm not having to think about, because I think that way it manifests if there's any things you need to remember or stuff in your dreams.
That shutting, I find that shutting down, mentally, I just don't, I give myself 15 minutes towards the last 15 minutes is just reviewing the next day and sending an email reminder for any appointments. So looking forward to seeing you next, or texting tomorrow for any of those appointments. Just makes it easier for checking in.
The flow. Awesome.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. You've given us lots to think about, as usual. And I think that people listening to the replay, and thanks to everybody coming in live today, will really get that importance of looking at the mindset stuff. That's kind of really what I got present to. I'm sure Liz did too. I'm just checking in with you. That if we don't have the mental side of our value and understanding and appreciating our value, and knowing who our tribe are and matching that, then we're not going to be able to charge what we're worth, because we've got some mismatches and misalignments going on. And doing that inner work and doing the rechecking in and noticing when things are out of alignment, when we're challenging our self-worth in our heads and going into thinking that we're not, there's scarcity or lack of money, and all that kind of negative self-talk that part of being a human being will arise. Building up a set of tools. Building that tools is important.
And listen, if anyone wants to check in with me some more, connect with me some more, I have my own Facebook group called the Star Prosperity Circle. So you could just go to Facebook groups, Star Prosperity Circle, and we sort of have daily tips on that. And if you go over to my website, it's actually at KimberlySumner.com.
I'll pop the link up there.
Pop the link, and that you can download. I've got some on the site. It's really easy if you want. If you're looking for some tips on how to create and fill your program, you can. I've got a toolbox essentially that sends that out to you direct with, and it's just one email, and it's 3 videos that are all put together with some tips and tools to show you how you can easily put your program together. So if you want that, go over to KimberlySumner.com and join me in the Star Prosperity Circle on Facebook. So
thanks, Kimberly. That's awesome.
And lovely to be with you, Fee, and also with you, Liz. And I'm so cool. It's so cool that we all collaborated and think.
Liz, what would you like to round off your the show from you? What was your some takeaways for you today?
I mean, just obviously huge. You've absolutely packed that in, Kimberly. It's very generous of you. And I think, it is that whole, for me, it's about that values and that alignment. It's just the foundations really of everything, isn't it? That's what it comes back to. Great to reinforce that and see how it obviously relates to the money side of things as well, and the flow.
Okay. So
thank
we
you.
We need to be in flow, don't we? We're women. Our energy is a flowing energy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. That's been packed full of, as Liz said, useful nuggets of wisdom, as usual. Next week, we're taking a break. It's my birthday next Monday, and I'm actually going to take the week off. Liz and I have had a bit of a think about the show, and we've been going since February. So what's that? How many months is that? March, April, 5 months. So we're coming up here. We're looking at the rest of this year and how we're going to make this work even better for people. And we're looking at moving our show to a Monday, New Zealand time at 9 a.m. and we're moving to a fortnightly format. And we're probably looking at slight tweaks, which I will announce as we go forward. If you'd like to subscribe to the Business Made Easy shows, you can follow me here. If you can find me, it's Kiffin NZ. If you subscribe to me, you'll get notifications of all our shows when they're coming up. So if they change, you'll still be able to find out when we're on, if you're not part of our Facebook group. So I'll pop the link to the Business Made Easy Facebook group down here. So do come across and join us if you're not part of that group. We'd love to have you in there. Awesome. I'll be popping a link to Kimberly in that group. So if you've got any quick questions you want to type in there and ask her, you're welcome to do that. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer any quick questions, and you can have the link to come and find her on her Facebook group as well. So, yeah, we'll be back in next time. Our guest is Sarah Kent from the work. Is it Love the Work You Want? Work You Want?
Create
the work you want.
Work you want.
That's the one. I'm glad you're on board with it today. And she's going to be talking about people moving. What's that, sorry?
It's Monday you're moving the show to? Monday.
We're moving to Mondays, yeah. Just so we can catch more of people in the States and the UK on a Sunday. They can join and listen as well.
Great way to kick off the week.
Yeah, great way to kick off the week. So that's what the plan is. So Business Made Easy, that's us signing off for today. Thank you for all of the contributions. Thank you, Philippa, for all your questions and little notes. It's been great to have you on. And nice to see you, Karen, as well, and all of our other guests we've got coming in. Julie from Christchurch. We will see you again after a week on a Monday. So the Monday date is, before I go, for anybody listening in, I'll just get my notes.
The 11th?
It is the Monday the 11th. That's it. Monday the 11th of July. So we'll see you then.
Awesome. Okay.
Thanks so much, Kimberly. Well, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Great.